Well, hello there, night owls. Let's talk a little bit about Late Night with the Devil. Before we get into this review, I real quickly want to address the AI controversy surrounding this film and why some fans are looking to boycott the flick. Within the week, multiple outlets reported that 3 AI artwork images were used as transitional pieces in the film, which had many horror fans bummed out. AI is becoming a huge problem amongst bigger studios. It could potentially take jobs away from VFX artists, graphic designers, writers, and many other folks working in the industry right now. Initially, I was very upset by this news because I have a lot of friends that work these jobs in the industries. I don't want a stupid machine to take those jobs away from them. But it was those same people that reached out to me this week and said not to boycott this film because a lot of real people actually did work on it. Directors Cameron and Cole Cairns addressed the issue recently, saying, in conjunction with our amazing graphics and production design team, all of whom worked tirelessly to give this film the 70s aesthetic we had always imagined, we experimented with AI for 3 still images, which we edited further and ultimately appear as very brief interstitials in the film. Jack Delroy himself, David Dastmalchian, even addressed this issue in a recent interview.
The only thing that makes me sad is that we had such an awesome graphics design team and all these artists that were working on making this film so perfect. So it makes me sad that that's a story that's getting the attention. But I get it. I mean, I'm absolutely in a place right now where that is something that we've learned so much about in the last few years since we made this movie, and that I don't want near the creative process, but I totally stand by the brothers. I was there with them. It was a couple years ago when they were this is brand new stuff, and like, oh look, this cool thing generated an image, and now our artists are doing a thing with it. So I think they said it really well, and I stand by what they said, and I completely stand by this movie as a thoroughly original piece of work that that so many man hours went into this incredible artistic craftsmanship of building this set, building this world. So, it's a good conversation to have, though. It's important conversation. We got to have it.
The reason that me and so many other horror fans out there made posts regarding this movie was because we were worried about our friends losing jobs in the industry, which are already hard to come by. I want to apologize to the filmmakers who did employ an excellent design team to create the 70s aesthetic of this film. It looks gorgeous, guys. This film is truly a human piece of art, and I'd encourage you to go see it in theaters. It fucking rocks. And one last note about all of this. If you are someone like me who's strongly against AI being used in movies, there's a much bigger story that needs to be talked about that came out this week as well. Bloomberg recently ran an article on how OpenAI is being shopped to multiple big film companies and talent agencies. This is, in my opinion, the real problem that needs to be addressed, not this little indie horror flick. Boycotting a movie like this is not going to send the right message to Hollywood. They're going to see that and just say, oh, they don't want to watch indie movies, not don't integrate AI into movies, which is the message we want to send, guys. If you want to stop AI from being integrated into movies, this is the article a lot more people need to be sharing. The link for the wrap article covering that Bloomberg post will be in the description of this video. Please check it out. So with that out of the way, let's talk a little bit about Late Night with the Devil. First, starting off with the plot description. Late Night with the Devil is about Jack Delroy, a host of a fictional 1970s variety and late night talk show titled Night Owls. In the show's 6th season, broadcast on Halloween of 1977, havoc unfolds when Delroy interviews a parapsychologist and the subject of her recent book, a young teenager who was the sole survivor of a satanic church's mass, as well as a clairvoyant and a skeptic. From that plot description, you can probably get that this is a very experimental and bizarre horror flick. Definitely not for everybody, but it certainly was for me. Late Night with the Devil is a surreal and trippy dive into madness that will leave you begging for an encore. David Dastmalchian once again showcases an excellent performance here. I don't know why this guy isn't the leading man in many, many, many more horror movies, and not just this one. Dude's got some small roles in The Last Voyage of the Demeter and The Boogeyman, but I want to see more movies like this with him, dog. It's exhilarating and surprisingly human with how emotional this one gets. That is probably the biggest shock of the whole film, personally. A lot of the twists and turns throughout this movie are so much fun to watch as well. Like I said earlier, I can see this movie turning some viewers off with how experimental and cryptic it gets, especially in the 3rd act, but I personally enjoyed every second of this one. The entire cast shines here, but I do want to put a spotlight on 2 specific actors besides David, who I thought drove this story home. Ingrid Torelli as Lily and Ian Bliss as Carmichael the Conjurer are some of the best best characters in this whole movie. I can't say why without getting into spoilers, we'll talk about it in a second, but personally I feel that these characters shape the bizarre brilliance of this absolutely wonderful possession story. The attention to detail is impeccable in this one as well. I got lost in the 70s aesthetic at one point. I love the boxy aspect ratio, the disgusting looking coloring. It's perfect, baby. This looks and feels exactly like 70s TV, all the way down to the word choices of the dialogue, dude. My absolute favorite thing about this whole movie, though, is the way it's paced and the formula you flow through. After a bit of brief exposition in the beginning, the rest of this movie flows where it's like you see the live broadcast, then you see the chaos that is all the behind the scenes shit. It pushes the story in such an original way, I can't get enough of it. I wish that there was like 70 more movies like this. Truly not a dull moment in the entire flick. You cannot be bored watching this movie. It's a perfectly paced film that helps you digest the weirdness as well, which I think is so important with how out there some of these scenes get. Overall, I highly recommend this to fans of supernatural and possession horror. You will dig this bizarre little outing, man. Especially if you're a fan of the VHS films, this feels like such a good Shudder original. All right, Night Owls, we're gonna get into some spoilers for Late Night with the Devil, so you might want to actually touch that dial and change the channel. You've never heard a talk show host say that before, have you? So like I've already covered in the spoiler-free review, the performances here are spectacular all around. I love the flow and feel of this movie. The 70s aesthetic is absolutely gorgeous. All of the scare sequences in this movie are genuinely terrifying, but also can get a little silly at times, which I think makes this movie so unique in that regard. The opening scene with Chris Dew, like he's clearly a charlatan, he's clearly ripping off the audience here, but it's really enjoyable to watch, and you know something is up when he gets that crazy migraine and his eyes roll back in his skull. This film elicits so many emotions, it's like a stew. I love that about it. You could be having a great time just as much as you are terrified in the same sequence. That's such a difficult thing to achieve with a horror movie, to hit all that wide range of emotions like that. Excellent job here. Ian Bliss as Carmichael the Conjurer is such an excellent kind of antagonist, but also like kind of not. He's the skeptic. You don't want to root for that guy. He's annoying, but he does it so well. He's such a good side character. That's a crazy issue I have with a lot of horror movies nowadays. Sometimes they'll have like one really good character and a lot of the side characters are just really there to push the plot forward. That's so boring to me. Give these characters something fun to do. This movie understands that. And oh my God, Lily is like my favorite character in this whole movie. Like one of my favorite characters in 2024 horror. She's like, is it okay for me to be looking at the camera like this? And David's just like, no, you can just talk to me. It's no big deal. She is so creepy, dude. Oh my God, that performance is so good. I have now seen 2 movies this weekend that had my jaw on the ground because when her head splits open and all that light is shooting out and she's just like throwing people around the room, twisted heads back and forth, I just lost my mind. I'm like, this is pure bliss. This is amazing. That whole sequence was my favorite part and it was excellent build up to that point. Oh my God, this movie is just so good. I have like almost no complaints. If I have to say something negative about this film, I do feel that the ending was maybe a little too abstract. It kind of loses the 70s aesthetic for a while, which at first I think was really cool to see. Like it was like, oh shit, we're diving deep into his psyche and seeing how crazy like David Dastmalchian's character has become. But I don't know, I feel like it kind of loses something by going to that place. I was kind of vibing with the whole found footage element to this movie and we kind of lose that in the third act, which once again, it's not like the biggest negative I have about this film. It really doesn't bug me all that much, but I just kind of wish they had stuck to that the whole movie. That's all I'm saying. It was cool to get a deeper dive into who Jack Delroy really is and why he's doing what he's doing, which is a very upsetting answer, I think. But most of it is left pretty ambiguous and up to interpretation, which I think makes this movie something really special and an absolute must-watch horror film of this year, which we've gotten 2 of those this weekend, ladies and gentlemen, with Immaculate from 2024 as well, which you guys will see a review of that up on the page tomorrow. Horror fans, you gotta see both of these movies in the theaters. They are not to be missed. Late Night with the Devil gets a 9 out of 10 for me. I absolutely loved this flick. What did you guys think about Late Night with the Devil, though? Leave me something about it in the comments below. Thank you all so much for watching this brand new review video. Don't forget to like it and subscribe for more horror content in the future. Please consider supporting me on Patreon as well if you want to see this channel grow. And as always, don't forget to kill it out there, y'all.